Welcome everyone, my name is Brandon and I'm joined by Chris and Zoe who are going to help answer your questions at the end of our presentation. We're so glad that you've taken an interest in Kurent and we want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. Now before we dig into the software, I want to give you a quick overview of some of the key features that we felt were most important in providing a great product that was simple and effective while still meeting the needs of solo and small firms. Kurent is part of the Tabs 3 family of products, where we used our knowledge of nearly 40 years of experience in legal productivity software to create an easy-to-use cloud-based program designed for firms who typically don't use and don't necessarily want to pay for extensive practice management features. Kurent was designed to make it easy to know what to do as soon as you log in. Now, because Kurent is so easy to use, it allows you to quickly bill your clients using hourly, contingency, flat fee, and electronic task-based billing. Fees can be created from timers and notes, or can be manually input, allowing you to easily track your time. When you're able to track your time so easily, you can then quickly and efficiently get your invoices and statements out with our flexible invoicing options and layouts, which help you get paid quicker. Kurent integrates with LawPay, so your clients can pay you online through the client portal with a credit card or an e-check. And because we also integrate with QuickBooks Online, you can keep track of those payments with the rest of your financial information. In addition to our easy-to-use billing, you can also keep track of your IOLTA trust accounts. Through Kurent's trust accounting, you can set a minimum balance, track deposits, keep your trust ledgers out of the red, and send trust requests. So you can rest assured that your trust accounts will always be audit ready. When you use all of these and our feature-rich dashboards, you'll be amazed at how simple it is to keep your time, bills, and payments up to date. Why should you switch to Kurent? Kurent helps you get bills out quickly so you don't lose track of AR, making it easier for you to get paid. Kurent is easy to use and will work on any device with a web browser. And because your data is backed up every day to Microsoft Azure servers and all updates are automated, you don't have to worry about making sure that you're working with the most up-to-date and optimized version of Kurent or hiring expensive IT firms to store and update your data. With a subscription price starting as low as $26 per user per month when paid annually, you won't have to worry about breaking the bank just to bill your time. Best of all, because we are a Tabs 3 product, you can rest assured that you'll get industry-leading support as part of your subscription, which means you'll get to work with a knowledgeable and friendly customer experience specialist anytime you call in or email. There's even a good chance that you'll get to work with one of us when you contact support. So now that you know a little bit about us, I want to walk you through some of the main features of Kurent as I take you through a basic billing cycle to show you how Kurent tracks time, invoices, and AR. Then I'll show you how Kurent accepts payments and helps you stay on top of trust accounts. At the end, we'll have a live Q&A session where Chris and Zoe will answer your questions. Now, before we get started with the demonstration, I do have a few questions I'd like to have you answer. This will give me a good idea of who's out there today, what you're looking for, and if there are things that I should focus more on during the presentation. The questions will pop up on your screen so you can answer them, and each question will be up for about 30 seconds or until everyone is answered. Again, this is just to help guide the webinar, so we won't be sharing your answers with anybody. Here we go. So the first question today is, what features are you most interested in? So we'll go ahead and leave that up on the screen for about 30 seconds here. All right. So pretty interested in sending a bill here and tracking time and some of our integrations. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the second question. What billing systems are you currently using? So again, we'll leave that up for about 30 seconds here. A lot of other systems out there today. Give her just a few more moments here. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our third question here. Is there anything you don't like about your existing billing system? So again, we'll go ahead and leave that up for about 30 seconds here. All right, so it looks like we predominantly want something that's easy to use. All right. All right, very good. Well, I think you'll be excited about how easy it is to use Kurent today. So now that we have a good idea of what we're looking for here, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so what you see right now is the first screen you'll see when you log into Kurent. We call this the user dashboard or the home page. So right here you'll see the My Hours widget. Now this widget keeps track of billable and non-billable hours you've entered over the last 7 days, giving you a snapshot of how your week is shaping up. You can also customize this to show day or month hours. Next to that, you'll see the notepad, which is exactly that. It's a place where you can leave yourself a message for when you log in, and you can do that here by clicking Add Note. And save and close. Now you can also turn these notes into fees and assign them to matters. All right, so next to that you'll see the recent matters list. These are going to be the last 6 matters you worked on, with the most recent being on top. So this is an easy way for you to get right back to work when you have to step away from the software. Underneath that you'll see the My Notifications section, which will alert you to useful information including overdue matters, aged unbilled work, and if you've received a payment online from your integrated LawPay client portal. This is also where you'll see any recent updates to the software. So lastly, we have at the bottom here the My Recent Activity list. From the moment you start using Kurent, every record you add is kept track of in a reverse chronological order right here. So that means that no matter how long you've been out of Kurent, when you come back, you'll know the very last thing that you did. Or if you did something last week that you need to find, but you can't remember what it was, you can just scroll through here until you find it. Now, up at the top of Kurent, you'll see that we do have 4 little icons up here. These are the quick launch buttons. These 4 buttons will follow you wherever you are in Kurent so that you can add a fee, a cost, open a matter, or create an invoice from anywhere in the software. So now that you know what it looks like, let me show you how it works. Let's say that you had a walk-in client and you sat down with them and decided that you would take their case. So now you'd like to bill them for the time, but you haven't even put them in Kurent as a contact, let alone a matter yet. So we can actually add this client as a contact, create a matter, and then quickly add a fee and create an invoice using the quick launch buttons. So to start, let's go ahead and add a fee using the quick launch fee button. So now right now this client doesn't exist in the system, but we're going to go ahead and add them. So I can just type their name in here. And if I hit the tab key, Kurent's going to use the quick add option, and they're going to add it in the background. And at this point, I just want to create a fee for our initial meeting. So we'll do 1 hour and initial meeting. From there, all we have to do is save and close. So with that button, you'll see that we have created a contact, a new matter, and the fee, all with that one little button. So now if we go up here and use the invoice quick launch, I can type in the matter name, pull it up from the list, and then you'll see that the fee does appear in this screen here. So this is just a place where we can review the fees and the costs that we want to bill for. So once I see them, I can click Save and Close down in the bottom right-hand corner. And now Kurent is going to take me to a preview of the invoice, which is what the client will actually see when I email or print a copy of the invoice for them. Now, there are a ton of options for the style and substance of your invoices. And once you find a combination that you like, you can make that the default. And that's just going to be in the select layout up here, where you'll see we have 5 different layouts and detail options. So as long as everything looks good here, I can go ahead and click the Approve in the upper right here to finalize the invoice, making it a part of my accounts receivable. So once it's approved, I can actually use the same menu to print or email the invoice. Once I'm finished, I can just close out of the invoice. In no time at all, I was able to create the contact, get the matter entered, add a fee, and create an invoice for them while they were still right in the office. Now let's go ahead and move over to the invoice list, and I can show you how we do batch invoicing. Now this will also show us how Kurent handles combined invoicing. So if I click the batch invoicing button, I can select all of the invoices that I want to run, and then click the Generate Invoices button in the bottom right-hand corner. Now from here, I can approve them all at once, or I can email them all out. So what we'll see here is actually going to be the combined invoicing. This is actually going to be the summary of the 2 invoices. So you'll be able to see those on here, and then it'll actually have the individual invoices as well. So if we click here to scroll through those, so you can see the actual individual invoices as well. Now, hopefully after your clients have been entered and you send out some invoices, you'll be ready to receive payments and track your AR. So let's take a look at how Kurent keeps track of accounts receivable. The first place that we're going to go to get a good representation of where we stand is using the Firm dashboard. So we'll just click on the Firm tab on the left. Now this is the Firm dashboard. It's a collection of graphs and widgets that give you a sense of where the firm is at as a whole. This has been designed so that if any part of any of these graphs interest you, all you have to do is click on that part of the graph to see the information that makes up the figures. So let's take a look at the accounts receivable graph here. It looks like I've got just a little bit of AR that is overdue, but I'd like to know more. So I can just click on the red part, and Kurent will take me to a list of the invoices that make up that portion of the graph. Now that's one way to track your AR, but if you prefer to have it in black and white in front of you, we do also have some reports that will help you keep up to date with your AR. So we can get to the reports on the left-hand side by clicking Reports in the left navigation pane. And let's go ahead and use the Aged Accounts Receivable report. So this will show me the age of all my AR. So I can see here that Armstrong Manufacturing actually has 307.50 and 90 plus. So let's see if we can go ahead and collect on that now. So if I click on the name of the matter, I'm taken to the matter dashboard for that client. Now if there's anything you need to know about a matter, you can find that here. I can see the contact information, how much is currently due, how much is waiting to be billed, how much they have trust in client funds, and I can run a client ledger, an unbilled activity report, a trust or a funds report, all from here as well. But we came here to collect, so let's go ahead and do that. So I see that I have a note here saying, please call before sending an invoice, so we can use the contact information here, and I can give them a call. And then while we're on the phone, I can actually email them a copy of their invoice so that they can see that in real time. To do that, we just go to Invoices and choose Email from the Action column and go ahead and send that out. So let's go take a look and see what that invoice actually looks like. So we'll see that we do have an an email here already. So this is the email that they're going to see when we send that out. You're going to notice that there is a hyperlink here, so we'll click on that. And from here, I can actually see the original invoice along with the payment that was already made of $1,200. And because we are integrated with LawPay, you can actually see that we do have the Make Payment button. So when they use this button to make a payment, what you're going to see is that they're able to actually enter in their credit card information or e-check information in order to be able to make those payments directly onto this. When they do that, it'll actually show up in your My Notifications. Now, for this one, we do want to pay with a regular check, so I'm going to go ahead and add the payment manually. So we'll go back over to Kurent and go from there. So from here, we see that we can do a receive payment in the balance due widget. So once I've verified that the amount is correct here, the $307.50, we can put in a check number and then save and close. And from there, you'll notice that the balance due widget has updated to show zero amount due. Now, what I think is cool is that your client will actually be able to see on the invoice link that you sent them that the payment has been updated. So if we pop back over to the email, click on the link, we'll notice that the invoice now does say balance due zero, and the payment is reflected there as well. Now, another integration that we use is with QuickBooks Online. So by saving that payment, we can actually see it sync over to QuickBooks. So if we go over to QuickBooks and then All Sales, we'll see right here that the payment does reflect and has been recorded with a status of paid. Now, the last thing that I want to show you before we head back to Q&A is how trust works in Kurent. So to do that, let's actually head over to the matter list. Now, I have two types of clients in Kurent to show you. My first client has paid me a retainer, which I'm considering payment for all the work I'll do in this case. Now, as you can see, I've received a retainer for this client in the amount of $2,500, and I intend to bill against that amount until it runs out. So I have an invoice down here that is in draft, so I can approve that to show you kind of what happens when an invoice is approved while funds are available to pay for it. So if we click approve, as you can see, Kurent has detected that there were trust funds available, and it's asked me if I want to make a payment for this client using that pool of funds. So by selecting yes, I can pay for the invoice in full by using this retainer. You'll see the balance due is reflected and the amount has changed to reflect that payment as well. So the next client that we have, all right. So I have this one set up so that when their trust balance falls below a certain amount, I have the option of sending a trust request that will be used to replenish their trust balance. So now, as you can see, this client has a trust balance of $1,399.20, and then I have an invoice that has an amount of $1,267.50. So again, once I approve this, you'll see that the same message we saw for our first client, and we'll go ahead and make the payment on that to resolve this invoice entirely. Now, when the Matter dashboard updates, you'll see that the trust balance is now below $1,000, and it's shown in orange. Now, this indicates that the trust balance is below the minimum I set when I created the Matter for this client. So using the trust balance action menu right up here, we can choose Send Trust Request. So this is the trust request that I'll send out to the client asking them to replenish their account. Kurent will take the amount that is in their trust account now and calculate the amount needed to bring the balance to the target, which in this case is $2,500. And at this point, just like an invoice, I can email or print this for the client. So this will conclude the demonstration part of our webinar. Next, we'll be moving on to the Q&A portion. Now, if you're unable to stick around but you do have questions, you can always email your questions to support@kurent.com. And I do also want to remind you that Kurent is just $26 per user per month when paid annually, or $29 per user when paid month to month. Now, while Chris and Zoe get set up to answer your questions, I would like to have you do one more poll to give me an idea of how we're doing with our demonstrations. So this will help me know if I need to make any changes on how we present the software during the webinar. Do you plan to sign up for a free trial of Kurent? Now again, these answers will not be shared, and we certainly won't hound you based on your answers. This just gives me an idea of how we're doing. All right, so it does look like we have some questions here beforehand, so let's go ahead and hit those. All right, so now let's go ahead and open it up for Q&A.
All right, thank you, Brandon. So our first question, again, if you have any questions, feel free to throw those in the questions window. I'll ask them to Zoe, and she will answer for us. So our first question, can you limit what some associates can view? For example, only myself and one other person should be able to see invoices.
Sure. So we do have user roles as part of Kurent, and that setup, it's going to allow you to curtail what certain functions users can get into. So the account owner is going to have full access to everything, but I can show you a quick example of what some of the breakdown of those user roles are. It's going to be within firm settings here. We'll go ahead and just take a look at the standard user. And that is going to allow you to restrict view, add, edit, and delete rights for many of the functions within Kurent. These are just going to be functions that deal with billing. We have options for settings, trust-specific reports and admin here as well. So you can definitely curtail what people can do within Kurent. You just assign that role then when you're adding in the user.
Okay, great, thank you. I have QuickBooks and plan to use Kurent. Do I need LawPay as well?
Neither QuickBooks or LawPay are required to use Kurent. Kurent is definitely a freestanding program. You don't need to have an integration, but yeah, so you can have both of them. You can have one or the other, or you can have none. Any way works for that.
Great. Can you go over the integration with LawPay and Kurent?
Sure. So the integration with LawPay, the setup is pretty simple. It's going to be, if you click on Welcome and then go into Firm Settings, it's going to be under this Account and Firm Settings section. There's just going to be an option for LawPay. And this one is already integrated with LawPay, so our accounts are already going to be mapped here. But when you get into the screen, you will have the option to sign in using your LawPay. And once that authorization is connected with your LawPay account, then you'll be able to map these accounts here. And from there, you shouldn't have to get into the screen again unless something gets updated. So authorizing is pretty simple. And then as you saw with Brandon's examples, if you have LawPay enabled, then your clients will see that Make Payment button when they see an invoice or receive a trust request, so they can enter a deposit or make a payment towards an invoice right from there. You do have the option to manually enter receipts using that connection with LawPay as well. And I can kind of show you that. Let me go ahead and go into receipts here. We'll see if we have any set up for that. But when you hit receive payment, one of these types you can set up to add a LawPay payment method here, and that type will show up here, so you can still have that connected into your LawPay account while manually entering that information instead of having your clients do it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Zoe. Can you approve and send batch bills to multiple clients via email once approved?
Sure. So we actually do have a combined invoice setup as well. So you can, anytime if you have a client with multiple matters, you can send out, you can hit that email button one time and they'll receive one invoice for that. Otherwise, if you have a client that you're sending the same invoice to multiple emails, all that you need to do, and we can take a look at the contact screen here, all you would need to do is enter that email address. Let's see here, we'll get it pulled up here. Enter multiple email addresses into this email field here, and then anyone that's in that field, if it's separated by a comma, anyone will receive that same invoice.
Okay, so it looks like we've got a number of questions about importing data into Kurent. Could you go over how we import data into Kurent and from what programs we can import data from?
Sure. So we can import data or do a data conversion for pretty much any software that you guys are currently using. If you're using tabs 3 or time slips right now, basically the conversion process, we would just need your latest backup. And once that's uploaded to us, we can pull the data and get that into your current account. Otherwise, if you're using something other than tabs 3 or time slips, we just need CSV file information. And most of the time with most programs, you can export your data as a CSV type file. The process works, and you would want to notify us if you're interested in doing a conversion. Just send us an email at support@kurent.com or give us a call. We'll send you a secure upload link that you can pop that information into either your backup or those CSV files, and we'll do the conversion in-house for you. Usually it takes about 24 to 48 hours, depending on what state the data's in, to get that conversion completed. And once it's done there, we'll notify you that you can get back into your account. And we'll bring over your contact information, contacts, your matters, and then any starting AR balances.
All right. So just a reminder, if you have any questions, please throw them in the questions window. I see a couple of hands up. If you have a question about the webinar itself, feel free to chat Chris Ames and I'll answer your question. But if you have one for Zoe, please throw it in the questions window. Thank you. So it looks like we have a clarification on that batch billing question. What if you wanted to batch email clients all at once on the first of the month? How would you go about doing that?
Oh, sure. So within, let me go ahead and show this here. When you're doing batch invoicing here, and let's see, we'll go ahead and just pick two of these guys to pull up here. So kind of like how Brandon went over that earlier with the batch invoicing here. When you create a batch, you can, using this drop-down option, you can approve and print and email them all at once. So if the matters are set to email, once you hit either that email all or, approve, print and email, or the print/email all, pretty much, so any of the matters that are set to email will receive an email at that point. So that's an easy way that anyone in this batch will receive that email with just one click.
Okay, perfect. Our employees who bill fees do not actually enter their time. The admin is the only person who would be using the system, but entering time and expenses for about 6 employees. How many timekeepers do I need?
So in that case, you would still need a user per any person that is going to be tracking time. So in this case, if you're still the only one that's entering, but you have 6 employees that you're needing to track time for, you would need to have 6 users in that case.
Okay, great. Can you add a description to a trust request?
Yes. So it's going to be personalized on the Matter dashboard here. Let's go ahead and just open. I'll go into Edit Matter here. You can put in a specific message on those trust requests. It's going to be under the Trust tab here. There's just going to be a trust request message, and this can be changed, whenever you need to. You can actually get to this from the trust request screen as well. So if you need to go back into it, you realize you didn't put a message in, you can always get back to it. And once you save and close here, it'll show up on the trust request.
Okay, can you email the attorney a pre-bill, and can they make online changes and send it back?
So you can still print or download and then email the batch of invoices to an attorney. That would be completely fine. In terms of making the changes, they would still have to either log into Kurent to make those changes, which at that point, if you're tracking time for them, they should have a user set up to be able to log in. But you can definitely print and download draft invoices before they're ready to be sent out for approval.
Okay, great. Let me see here. Okay, I work a lot from home or on the road. Does Kurent have an app I can use on my phone or home computer to input billing time to my work computer?
Sure. So there's not going to be a specific app at this point. Basically, anywhere where you have an internet browser, so any device that you can access the internet on, you can get on Kurent. So, from phones, tablets, computers, anytime that you have access to the internet, you're able to get into Kurent and enter your time.
Okay. How do I delete an incorrect time entry, say accidentally billed to the wrong client?
Sure. So deleting any time entry here, we'll go ahead. Let's see here. Let's go into fees here. Deleting it, there's just going to be an option. Let's see which ones. I'm going to open this up to see which ones. Build here. Go ahead and turn on status. Here we go. So for, let's say, go ahead and go into this unbilled one. This one is on an invoice. We'll go ahead and look at this one anyway. For ones that haven't been on an invoice here, and you'll see this link to the invoice if you're looking at an entry that has been on an invoice. If it's one that's never been on an invoice, this delete button will be available at the bottom here to just completely delete it. In the case that it is on an invoice, you'd want to open up the entry or go straight into the invoice itself to make those edits. And that's just by going into this edit invoice button. You can go in here, you can, click on the entry, reassign it if you need to, or delete it at that point. But again, for ones that haven't been on an invoice before, that delete button will just be available to get rid of that fee for you.
Great, thank you, Zoe. Is there customer support to answer my questions, and does that support cost extra?
Support is completely free, whether you're in the trial or you're a subscriber of Kurent. And you can email us your questions anytime at support@kurent.com or give us a call. That's going to be at 402-419-2211. You can access that information here too under our Open Help Center. We always have support information right up here as well. And our open available times for on the phone support is going to be 8 to 5 Central Time, Monday through Friday. So.
Excellent. I have many flat fee cases in addition to hourly rate cases. How do I create a fee so that the invoice will show what work was done but not bill an hourly rate?
Sure. So you can create flat fees or set up your client to be flat fee within Kurent here. That's just going to be an option in this edit matter or matter entry section here under billing method. And look, this one's already set up for flat fee. So you can have it so that your fees automatically adjust if you want to continue to track your time like normal and just have it adjust at the end. Or you can enter just a straight flat amount transaction here and just fill out that one transaction with a memo field of whatever you want to describe the work as. But it's going to be on a matter-by-matter basis. So on the next matter, you can have them set up for hourly and have that rate come over, like it normally would. So you can definitely have a mix of both flat and hourly clients.
Okay. Can you show the email that the billed invoice went to again?
Yes. Let me get it pulled up here. Okay, there we go. So this is just going to be our standard template. This can be altered. Right now it's pretty basic. You can definitely throw other information in here. And let me show you what those templates look like. Let's see here. So it'd be in firm settings under email templates. You have the option. We have the 2 standard ones in here right now, but you can add in different invoice templates or different trust request templates depending on what you want to see. And we'll just take a look at the standard one here. Any of these variables can be put in, as well as you can throw in any text that you want here to personalize it. So, and you can always, kind of like Brandon showed too, when you're emailing an invoice, it'll pop up with the body of the email that can be altered at the time of sending as well.
Okay, great. Can you have flat fee and hourly on the same invoice?
Yeah, you can. Normally in that case then, when you're entering a fee, you would keep the client set to hourly, but you would enter the fee as a flat amount instead. So it wouldn't necessarily be changing the status of the matter, but just changing it so it's a flat amount, and then the rate will show, it'll be blank on the invoice then, and you can plug in whatever amount you want, regardless of how many hours you put in. So no issues there.
Okay, I think that was our last question. I'll give everybody a couple moments to enter any additional questions before we take off. But thank you, some really great questions during this webinar.
So while we're waiting for the questions there, I do want to just bring your attention to the handout section of your GoToWebinar panel, where we do have one handout for you, and that's just a flyer. You'll see that showing up on your screen here. So this will basically cover some of Kurent's basic features that we went over during the webinar. It'll also include pricing. And then the thing I want to bring your attention to is at the bottom, you'll see that there are 3 buttons. Those are live buttons, so you can actually use the handout as a reference for these 3 items.
All right, so it looks like we have one last question. Is there a user guide?
So there's not going to be a specific user guide, although we do have that help center that I showed earlier here. If you click on welcome, or sorry, it's actually going to be the thing right next to welcome here, and go into the open help center screen. This is going to pop up information about the page that you're on currently. You can always go into the different options here, or search for what you're looking for here, or again, give us a call if you have any questions. We're happy to help you out.
Quick follow-up question, is there a user forum?
So we have a walkthrough option. So if you're just starting into Kurent and you have questions about getting started, we can do a one-on-one walkthrough with you. And you can sign up for that at kurent.com, and we can walk through. It's usually a 10-minute plus presentation to kind of walk you through and get you started with Kurent, and answer any additional questions that you have at that point. Okay,
that looks like all of our questions. Thank you, Zoe. I'll give it over to Brandon so he can take us out.
All right. I do want to thank each of you again and remind you that you can sign up for a personal walkthrough of Kurent at www.kurent.com/walkthrough, or if you're ready to go ahead and start your 30-day trial, go ahead and just go to kurent.com/trial. And I do also want to throw out a little plug. We are starting a new Webinar Wednesday series. The first one of those will be next Wednesday, where we'll go through some of the practical pointers of Kurent to kind of give kind of a little tips and tricks type setting there. Thanks for watching, and everybody, you have the great rest of your day, okay?